Okay, good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Okay. Now, in this session, we will look at the fifth unit, that is PHP part. Now, let me just share my, what is this recording started, my entire screen. Now, even for PHP, we will be using the WAMP server. WAMP is a web server. We have talked about WAMP yesterday, and we have also seen Python program, how to execute within the WAMP server. Now, the same WAMP server we will be using for executing the PHP programs. Now, here again in the WAMP server, you will have to go into the www folder. and inside this www folder, you would be writing or creating another folder in this root. So let us create a folder, let's say PHP web. Let us say PHP web, and within this folder we will be writing our programs. Now remember that even here, like Python programs, there is no hard and fast rule to place your code in certain directories, like what we had for JSP or what we had for servlets. So that all that configuration files, so and so things, there is no need for creating and placing those in certain file particular directories. We can directly start writing the code. Now here, in the PHP web, this is the name given by, I have given this name. You can use any name. Will be our root folder. So within this folder, you can have your images, you can have rest of the other things like the CSS files, JavaScript, even your PHP files. Now let us open a simple, what do we call, just let me have a simple HTML, simple HTML part. I'll just say that I'll just display hello. Now let me save this file with the extension as PHP. So let us call this file as first.php. All PHP files has to be saved with the extension PHP. So now this file PHP, I cannot run just by double clicking it. Just by double clicking this file, I cannot run it. So if I just double click it, it will not open in web browser like HTML files. Since this is a PHP file, which is a server file, or which has to run on a server, so we need to start that server. So let us start WAMP. Let us start the WAMP server. Okay, my server has started. Now, in the Explore web browser, let us type protocol IP address in my case, and then it was PHP. What was the name here? PHP web. PHP web. And here we had first.php as the program. You can see that hello has been displayed, but we have not written anything, any such thing as PHP statements. We just had the HTML part, HTML tags here. So let us move further. PHP, since it's a server-side programming or server-side language, it executes server-side. We have to write the program and run through the server. Using a server, we need to run it and access it through a web browser using which is our client, using the protocol as well as the IP address where the web server is running, and then get the results. All PHP programs will have .php as the extension. PHP, sometimes it's also called as server-side scripting language. And the content, actually, when a browser sends a request for a PHP, and remember that the web server also has to support PHP. Now we cannot use Apache Tomcat server to run PHP programs. Likewise, we cannot use this WAMP server to run JSP or servlets, Java servlets. So the web browsers also has to support the programming language. So in this case, we are using WAMP, which is made for PHP. Now this web server, what happens is when a client sends a request, or when a request is sent for a PHP document from the client to the web server actually calls the PHP processor. Now PHP is also, it's an interpreted language. So we don't compile PHP like we compile Java servlets. We don't compile PHP. It's an interpreted language. The PHP processor interprets the script, and based on the statements, some computation is done, and the output of the PHP script is sent back as a response to the web browser or the client. The output of PHP is always an HTML. Output of PHP is not a, what do you call, any other, binary language or any other class file or such thing. The output of PHP is always an HTML. Now, the client, though there is no PHP written inside this, we just have written the HTML tag. But when we write PHP scripts, client will never get to see the PHP code. Client will never get to see the PHP code. Like in JSP programs, we write JSP code, but what happens is ultimately when the output is sent to the web browser, it is all HTML. None of the code is displayed to the user or the client. So in same way, even in PHP, the web browser will never see the PHP code. The process, what happens, or what the PHP processor does is, since it's an interpreted language, it will try to perform, try to interpret each statement and generate an output. Now, the latest versions of PHPs are trying to pre-compile the code, though it's an interpreted language, purely an interpreted language. But some of the some of the latest PHP interpreters or PHP processors, we can say, are having the capability of pre-compiling the PHP code. This is just to achieve a faster execution. But anyway, nonetheless, what we have is PHP is an interpreted language. Now, for a JavaScript, if you see on the screen, for JavaScript, we had used something called as a percentage statement, and within angle bracket and percentage, we had written all the JSP code. Now, the same way, what we will do is, for a PHP, we need to start writing PHP from angle bracket question mark PHP to the close of question mark and angle bracket. So PHP documents will be written within the angle brackets. The PHP code will be written within the angle bracket PHP, question mark PHP, and then closing of the question mark and angle bracket. So the entire PHP code will be written this way, inside these two tags. Now PHP is a case sensitive language as other languages what we have, but some things in PHP are case insensitive, like Boolean types. But anyway, the entire language, PHP language, is a case sensitive language. Now, syntax of PHP is much similar to JavaScript. When we are saying it's similar to JavaScript, that means that since JavaScript is much similar to Java, the syntax of PHP is much similar to Java. In PHP, every statement will terminate with a semicolon. Now, in Python, there was no need for a semicolon there, but remember, in PHP, there is a need for the semicolon. Likewise, in Java and JavaScript, we use curly brackets. We use curly brackets to create a block of a statement, or to have compound statements. The same way, even in JavaScript, brackets are used to create a compound statements. The PHP language, coming to the point or part of what do we say, the way of writing the programs. Very first thing is PHP will also has what do you call its own keywords that cannot be used for they cannot be used as for declaring variables or any other like any other identifiers. PHP allows comments. Single line comment can be specified either using, let's say, hash, or let's say this is sample, let's say, or you can also have a double slash as in JavaScript. So this way, even the comments we can have comments. We can also have multi-line comments using slash asterisk, which is a normal way of commenting in any other programming language. So closing with the asterisk and slash. So this way we can have comments in in PHP. Now, obviously, when we move further, PHP has its own types, data types. Now, in PHP, there are basically four primitive types. That is integers. So let me write it here itself. Basically four primitive types. Those are integers, integer. Then we have double for floating point numbers. We have Boolean, that is true and false, and we have string. Now remember, there is no such thing known as known as characters in PHP. There is no such thing known as characters in PHP. And again, PHP is a dynamic language, as we have seen Python. So we don't declare a type of a variable when we are using PHP. So we don't say int I equal to some 0 something. So PHP is a dynamic, dynamically typed language, and now this where were we? PHP is a dynamically typed language. That means we don't use data types to declare the variables. So once, depending upon its assignment, the variables are depending upon the assignment, the variables are given its type. And here, when we let us look at how to declare variables. In PHP, the variables begin, actually the declaration, or to declare a variable, we used to we have to use a dollar symbol or a dollar character followed by a variable name. So to declare a variable in the same file, PHP file, let us declare a variable. So I will not use int I and then assign the value as, let's say, 10, like we do it in Java. So we said it is similar to Java, but it's not like a Java language. So there are certain differences. It's similar in terms of control structures, in terms of compound statements, what we have seen. But it's a dynamically typed language. So to declare a variable in PHP, we first need to use a dollar symbol, a dollar character, followed by the variable name. In this case, my variable name is I. And then we need to assign the value as 10. Now, suppose if I just declare this, obviously the type of this variable I is integer now because it's assigned. Now, when I, later in the program, after a few statements, suppose if I change this $I and let us declare another variable $x, and let me declare this variable as a string within double quotes. Um, let's say CSE. Now later in the program, if I assign $I equal to $x, what happens is at this point, the type of the variable I was integer. Now x is declared of the type string. Now when I assign the value of x to I, variable I, now the type of I will become string. So Python is a dynamically typed language. Now in Python, it was necessary or it was a mandatory condition that once the variable is declared, it has to be assigned a value. In PHP, that is not the case. If a value is not assigned to a variable, that variable will contain a value as null. Will contain a value as null. And this null it will contain a value null. So if nothing is assigned, it will contain a value null. Else, obviously, whatever valid data types are there, that data types will be used. Now, as far as we are concerned about string, the string can be represented either with double quotes like what we did in double quote CSE, or it can also be represented in single quotes. Let's say Y, let us use, let's say EC in single quotes. So string can be delimited using double as well as single quotes. Now, in single quotes, the escape sequences, that is /n/t, all these escape sequences are not recognized. That means we cannot use EC/n, let's say IT. We cannot use this because /n will not get recognized. It will display as it is. But the escape sequences are recognized in double quotes. It's much better if we have escape sequences, then will be able to use double quotes. Now, coming further to the, the type conversion, or what do you call for example, coercion of values. The integers are what the floating point numbers are coerced into integers depending upon the arithmetic operators. We will look at that there, but PHP has the functionality of coercing or automatically conversion or implicit conversion of types. Now, if a value, as I said, if we are not assigning any value, it will be assigned as null. So then how do we use these null value? I mean, how do we use this variable I? Now, if a variable is not assigned a value, obviously we are saying that it will have any unassigned variable will have a value as null. So whenever this variable is used in any expression, its value will be coerced or implicitly converted into 0. Now, if it is used in integer or double, it is converted into 0. If it is used as part of a string, then it will be coerced into an empty string. Now, there are other ways also of coercion, that is using some of the functions. Now, the type of the variable, if we want to find a type of the variable, we can use get type as the function, which is provided in PHP. So, let us, before, looking at the other functions or operators or such things in PHP, let us look at how output is done. The very first thing is input. To take an input, a PHP program, to take an input, it has to come through as a request from the web browser. Or otherwise, we can just directly initialize inside the PHP program. The same way, output is sent to the web browser, or as a response, it is sent to the client. Now, there is a function known as print and printf function in PHP, through which we can send an output. Now, output, it will not show on command prompt. Output will be shown on the output will be shown on the output will be shown on the web browser. So there is a print function as well as printf function. Now we will just try to use the print function first. So let us keep this variable as it is declared, though we will not use it right now, we will use it later. I'll just remove this part of what do we call, and now let us use print as the function. Now this print function can be used with or without parenthesis in PHP, with or without parenthesis. So let me print, this is first program, or let's say first PHP program, and close the string. Now let me just save this file and execute in a web browser. So if I execute on the web browser, I'm getting some error. Let us try to clarify this error here. Line 5 is which one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What does it say? Unexpected syntax error, unexpected X. Okay. Actually, I need to coerce this value. So I'll just right now for timing remove it, and then we will look at the coercions later. Okay, now let me save this program and execute it once more. Okay. Every this one has to end with a semicolon. Every PHP statement has to end with a semicolon. So now you can see that was a mistake I was doing. It was just like a Python program, I was just writing statements. But now you can see every statement, once I have put up the semicolon at the end of each statement, now the PHP program is working. So this is the PHP program. That is what is the a string which is there in the print function. Now here print function can use we can use it with or without parentheses. So let us use with parentheses. Let us use the same output here within parentheses. Now you can find that it has printed. This is it's coming from the first part. This is coming from the second statement. Now here, let me provide this within h1 tag, and remember I am providing h1 within the as part of the string itself, and let me provide this as h2 tag within h2 tag. Within h2. Now let me just save this and run it. You can find that the strings also can contain the HTML tags, and this is what we have also seen in our servlets when we send the output. And remember, this print is not sending an output on the command prompt. It is sending the output on the web browser. So the other thing is, there is another what you call now let us look at how to print the values from the variables. I'm using let me remove this comments also. I have a variable I, another variable x, another variable y. Now the print function, within this print function I want to display students of, now I want CSE. Now I will not write CSE. I need $X. Students of CSE $X. Now this $X, what I want here is, I don't want to write CSE. I want to print whatever the value is present in this variable, that is variable X. So let me execute this program. You can find that this what you call has been directly displayed. I mean the value within the X variable is displayed. Now suppose if I change this to CSE, let's say section A. So this $X means we are replacing the value. Instead of putting up X, we are just replacing the value with whatever is stored in X. So this is where this is the way the outputs can be handled by displaying the values. Now there is another statement known as printf statement. In Python, there is another statement known as printf statement. This printf statement also can be used without parentheses. But the difference between print and printf statement is that printf, printf can, I mean, it's better to use, printf we have to use with the parenthesis itself. We cannot use without parenthesis. Has to be used with parenthesis. But print statement can be used with or without parentheses. Now here the difference between print and printf statement is that using printf statement, we can have a formatted output. We can have formatted output. For example, if you remember your C++ or C statement, we had something within quotes, comma, then several variables like dollar, in this case, let's say $I, comma, $X. So what we used to have here is we used to have a formatted string. So that's the difference. Print statement will not have a formatted conditions. I mean formatted part, but printf statements printf is used for having the formatted output. Now here, if you remember, we can pass first argument. This is an integer, so $D for integers, and I can say $D. Let's say has not has. is, let's say, print percentage, let's say S, because $X or variable X is a string. So this way we will be able to have the formatted output. So if you look at it, we are getting the result in the, using the printf statement. So print statement directly prints it without any formatting options, but printf statement will output the result in a formatted way. And format specifiers we can provide it as %d for integers, %f for floating point or double numbers, and %s for strings. Now moving further, as we have what do you call uh, the conditional statements. So for a conditional statements, we should have a condition or some comparison operators, or what do we call relationship operators. Now Python, PHP uses the same less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, and not equal to. PHP also has, apart from this 6 operators, that is less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, it also has 2 more operators within, as part of the relationship operators. Now let us have a look at this. Let me have let's say $n equal to 10. Let me use if condition, or let me use a if statement. Now the reason here to demonstrate use if statement and demonstrate the conditions is that we will be able to what is the question? We didn't give any header tag to printf statement, but it's displaying as h2. Okay. What was the control Z? Oh, I lost. There is a question here. We didn't give header tag of printf statement, but it's displaying as h2. Yes, even I observed it just now. The thing is, I am doing control Z, but I don't have the previous statement. So what we will do is, let me, after the class, once the recording is available, I'll just go back and then look at it, what is happening, and then I'll just we will be able to answer you. Sorry, I was a little quick and deleting things, but anyway, we will figure it out what is happening, or what we did here, so that we are getting the output in the H2 tag. So let me answer this a little later. Okay. Let us continue with the let us continue with the PHP part. Now, yeah, let us look at the relationship operators. But this relationship operators, we can look at it with the help of condition statements, or in PHP it is known as selection statements. That is if statement, if else statement, else if statement, and even PHP also has switch statements. So let us create. Actually, what I will do is, let me just have HTML tag and body tag. You can have the header and everything else, but I'm just trying to have a HTML body, and within that I'm writing the PHP code, like what we did JSP part. The same way I'm doing this. Let me just here actually I got we had a question earlier. We didn't give any header tag and printf statement, but it is displaying h2. Now I just before refreshing that, I just wanted to look at the HTML that was generated for this. So the answer is, here I made a mistake. This is first PHP that was there in the printf statement. Instead of here, I don't have a closing of h2 tag. I'm opening h2 tag, but I'm not closing h2 tag. So what is happening? This was the mistake I made. I did not close h2 tag. Neither I have closed over here h1 tag. So that is why it's displaying in what do you call, even the 10 is CSE is getting displayed as an h2 part. Let us come back. I'm sorry, what happened? Okay, I just have given some HTML statement and have the PHP. PHP doesn't have any output statement, so there is nothing displayed on the browser. Here, let us have let us say that let's say first program, first PHP program, and let us close this. Now this is displaying HTML as well as this page is having HTML code as well as PHP. Actually, it's a PHP program, but for the PHP code, we don't have any output statements. So let us try to write an if condition. If is the keyword which has to be used, and we need to use a brackets for writing that. What we will do is we will test if n. Remember that we cannot just use n less than equal to, let's say, or n greater than equal to 0, closing the brackets, the what do you call, closing the parenthesis for if condition, and then print, let's say print, say positive number, say positive number here. We cannot directly use n. Let us save and look at the output. See, there is an error here. We just cannot directly use, sorry, this error was because of semicolon. Let me save this. Let us run this. So you cannot directly use n over here. Are you getting it? We will be getting a error, though it says that the positive number, but we'll be getting an error. So everywhere variables are used, we have to use dollar and the variable name. Now let us compile. Let us execute this. You can find that we have the output as positive number. Now suppose x is minus 10. It will not display anything. So the if conditions works the same way as your what do you call works the same way as in JavaScript or as in Java. Now let us come back. Let us look at the relational operators, what we were talking. Let me use an else part also over here, so that we know what is happening. So then next thing is I will write else. I will just say print f or print, let me say negative number semicolon. Remember this, the indentation what I'm providing here is just for purpose of readability. This has got nothing to do with if or else conditions. Like in Python, we had to indent it to make it as part of the if block or part of the function. But here indentation is not part of any syntax. I'm doing it just for having a better readability. That's all. Now let us come back to the relational operators, what we were saying. So in this case, what is happening is what is the new thing here? What is it? Dollar opening curly brackets or dollar curly brackets line 18. Which Which line is 18? Oh, sorry. That's not a problem. The problem was closing of the quotes here. I just opened the quotes and what have not closed the quotes over here. So that was the problem. Hopefully we will not have any problem. It's displaying a negative number. Now let's come back to the relational operators. Relational operators, as we know, we can use less than equal to, greater than equal to, as well as we can use equal to equal to. So let me make this as 10 and equal to 10. And here I'll print true. And here I will print false. True or false. Now let me execute this program. I'm getting true. Now what happens if I have this value is 10.0? Now also it displays true. So whether I am having 10 or 10.0, the value is same. That is, when I'm using equal to operator, it is displaying me true. Though the type is different. That is, at one place we have 10, which is an integer. The other place we have 10.0, which is a float. In PHP, there is another relational operator known as triple equal to, or sometimes strict equal to operator. Now, this triple equal to operator will check even the type. So, with the value, it will also consider the type. So, let us save this. Earlier, when we had equal to 10 and 10.0 was true. Now we are using strict equal to, that is triple equal to. Now you can find that the value is displayed as false. So this is the another relational operator, strict equal. The same way we also have not equal to and not equal to equal to. This is strict not equal to operator. So remember, equal to operator will just compare the values. Will not look at the type, but equal to operator, that is strict equal to operator, will compare even the type, or it will try to it will give the result true only if both the type and the value of the operands are same. Any question? No. Okay. If the type of the operands are same. So this is these are the two special type of operators, relational operators we have in PHP. Now, apart from this, we also have operators. What do we call Boolean operators? That is AND or XOR, and we would be able to suppose if we can use if n is less than, or sorry, n is greater than, let's say 10, we can use AND n $n less than, say, 20. So we can have the Boolean, you're getting a result as false because we are using less than, not less than equal to. So if the values of n is 15, we'll get the result as true. It will display as true. So here we can use AND as the Boolean operator. We can also have OR. We can also use XOR. So, n greater than 10 and less than 20, XOR doesn't make any sense. But I'm just trying to show you what Boolean operators are. So we can have AND, we can have OR, as well as we can have XOR. And the thing is, we can use AND as well as we can use the symbol AND. So both the ways we will be able to use. We can use OR as well as we can use two pipe symbols representing OR operator. So or and with the characters will perform the same operation, as well as or with double pipes will also perform the same operation. The only difference between them is the precedence. So that's the only difference there. Now coming to, so these are the relational as well as Boolean operators what we have in PHP. Now coming to the selection statements or conditional controls or if statements, we have if statement, we have else, if else statement. We can also have else if statement, which is provided as in Java. So we can use else if, and then provide the condition here. Any relational operators we can use and provide a condition. We can also use switch statements. Obviously, we will use switch as the keyword, and in brackets we can say $n, and then open the switch structure, the whole switch structure. Switch will have its corresponding case. So we can use case 1. Suppose if it's case 1, then colon, let's say print 1 as the numeric 1. And then we need to use, obviously, it will end with a semicolon. So for case 1, we have print 1 and then break semicolon. So switch statement is also there. In switch statement, you provide the variable there, and depending on the value of this variable, the case statements will be executed. Case will have case and the label followed by the colon, and then you can have its statements separated by statements corresponding to that case separated by a semicolon. And break has to be there. If break is not there, it will fall out. It will jump to the next case label. If this is the variable over in the case switch parenthesis is a string, then case also has to be within double quotes representing strings. Now there is also the last default as the label. This default label, if none of the cases match, by default, this default label will be executed. So whatever statements we have as part of the print within default, so these statements will get executed. So these are the loops what we have. No, sorry, these are the iterative controls. Conditional controls what we have. Now moving further, in PHP, we also have iterative statements or loops. We have a while loop. We also have a for loop, as well as we have a do while loop in PHP. Now, these loops are exactly how they work in Java. So, for example, if let us try to just let me remove these conditions. Let us say n equal to, let me say 5, and let me use a counter $I. Let me assign it as 0, semicolon. And let me first describe the while loop. While let us use $I is less than $n. Remember, directly in Java we used to write I less than n, but in PHP we have to precede that by any variable. We have to precede it with a $sign. So here what we will do is, if I less than n, let us print the value of I value, and let me just say $I. Let us print the value of I and semicolon. Then let us increment the value of I. So $I equal to $I plus 1. We will have a semicolon at the end and close this. Now let us save this and run the program. You can find value 0, value 1 is displayed. Let me just have a break over here. Here, tag. So let us open it. You can find that 5 times value statement is printed with its value, that is count of I. So this is how while loop works. Same way do while loop works. Here, let me have the condition over here and start this loop with the do. So do so and so things while this way. Now let us save this file and print it. You can find we get the same result because here the do while loop. Obviously, the difference between while and do while is that do while executes at least once before checking the condition, and while checks the condition prior to executing the loop. That is, those differences are same as what we have in the in Java. So we have seen while loop, we have seen do while loop. Let us look at for loop. For loop is we don't need a counter here, so we will obviously for is used as an what do we call keyword. Then there should be a I we have already declared here. Let me just remove I from here. $I equal to 0, that is I equal to 0, and then we say $I less than $n, that is the condition I less than n. Here every variable has to be preceded by a dollar, and then we can say $I plus plus, and then print the value of so and so, value of I. Now let us execute this program. You can find that you get the same result here. Now if I change it to 10, it will display 10 times. Display 10 times. So this is how even the for loop works. The only difference is, remember, everywhere when we are using a dollar, everywhere when we are using a variables and in the PHP code, precede the variable by a dollar. Every time precede the variable by a dollar. This may look at very confusing, but this is nothing but your if statement. If I equal to 0, I less than equal to n, I plus plus. This is just a for loop which we usually use. But the difference is, since this is PHP, the variable has to be preceded. So I is a variable preceded by dollar. 0 is not a variable. I is a variable over here preceded by, n is a variable preceded by a dollar. Even I is a variable which is preceded by a dollar. And obviously, the increment and decrement operators work in PHP. Plus and minus, that is minus minus plus plus operators will also work in PHP. Now let us actually forgot about the arithmetic operators here. That is why I missed out that increment operator. Now PHP consists of plus, minus, multiplication, division, these modulus, increment and decrement operators. Now, apart from this, PHP also has assignment operators, like we can use, suppose we are using $n or $I equal to $I plus 1 we are using. So instead of that, we can use $I plus plus. This way also we can use, or we can also use $I plus equal to 1. Assignment operator, shorthand assignment. This is equal to I plus 1. This is equal to I. This is same as I equal to I plus 1. So PHP also support assignment operators. Now the thing with the what do you call division operator, that is this operator, division operator, is that the result of always, whether I is an integer or not, or whether any one operand or both the operands are integer or not, the division operator always will produce result as a floating point number or a double as a result. Always, always. If even if both the operands are what do you call integers, the division operator will always produce the result as a of the type double or float. Then the same way, the percentage operator, that is modulus operator, which gives the remainder, will always produce the result as integer. Even if both the operands are floating point numbers, it will display the result as integer. That is the remainder. It will not display the result in a floating point number or double number. What happens is, even if the operand, any one operand or both the operands are floating point numbers or double, it will be automatically or implicitly converted or coerced into integers. So that is why always remember that percentage, that is the modulo operator, will always give the result of the type integer, whereas slash, that is divide operator, will always, whether even if the both the operands are integer, it will always give the result as an integer. Sorry, double. So division always gives the result as a double. In the same way, we have several string functions, like finding the string length, comparing string, converting the string to upper, converting the string to lower, as part of the strings class. So before we move on to let us look at some of the string functions. What I will do is, let me define a string here. Let me remove all this part, and let me define x or s as a string. Let us say this string as this is PHP. I can use print and then just dollar. Let me print the string $s. What happened here? Okay, I have not closed the string again. That is the problem. So I'm getting the display. This is coming from Python. Sorry, this is coming from inside PHP tags. But this is the what do you call text which we have written directly as the HTML part. So this is coming from, this is PHP is coming within, or coming from the PHP part. Now here, what I'll do is, let me just use plus operator concatenation and just give br as the tag there. Br as the tag. What I'll do is, let me just have some of the functions here. Let me just copy and paste it here. Now what we will try, look at is the string functions, some of the string functions, like str length. So what we will do is, we will use strlen and provide the what happened here. Okay, just a minute. Okay. Here, sorry, I'm in a very what do you call in a habit of using the syntax of Python or Java. Here, sorry about that. This plus sign is arithmetic operator in PHP. It's not a concatenation operator. In PHP, dot is the concatenation operator. It is the dot which is the concatenation operator. So what was happening? Why it is displaying 0 over here? Because in the output 0 0, because when I'm adding $s with this break, I mean addition on, it is getting coerced into an integer. So this is PHP is getting coerced into integer which is 0, null it is assuming. So that is why we're getting 0 0 over here. So sorry about that. Plus is not the concatenation operator for PHP, but dot is the concatenation operator. So let us run this first, then we will come back. So now you can see it's working. So that's the mistake I did. Plus is not the concatenation operator. In PHP, we use dot as the concatenation operator. Now let us come back. Let us say strlen is the function we will use, and obviously every time what you do is once you make some changes in the code, try to save it and then refresh the page. Now we are getting 11 as the what do you call the result here, that is the length of the string. This is because 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. Now there is no new line character or such thing over here as we have in C++. There is no new line character. It displays the number of characters what we have, that is 11. So this 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 2 spaces 10 and 11. Now there is a method trim which will remove the white spaces from the start, beginning as well as end of the string. There are other methods also. Let us use str to lower, which will convert everything into a lowercase. The same way there is a to upper, which will convert everything into an uppercase, as well as we have the we can find position also. We can compare two strings. Then we can perform the what do we call substring operation also using the string methods. Now the most important thing, I mean all these syntaxes are same with respect to your other programming languages except few changes. Now the important thing here is the arrays in PHP. It is not like what do we call arrays of other programming languages or other high level languages, like how we have the arrays of C or Java. We say that arrays are a sequence of elements which contains elements of the same type. But here the arrays are like associative arrays, which are more like you can, I mean, have any type of elements in an array. Obviously, to declare array or to create an array, we have to use a dollar symbol. We have to use a dollar symbol here. So if I am trying to create an array, directly I can use dollar, let's say A, which is an array of 0. I can start, I mean, assign number as let's say 12. Now this print, let me just show you what happens when we print S dollar array itself. That is dollar $A itself. Now you can find that it says directly, like in Python, we just print L or S or T for a tuple, L for a string. It displays all the values. Here it doesn't happen. Uh, it will not display what is the value of the all the values within the array. So we have to use the indexing to get the values, or we need to use a for loop. Now in for loops, or we need to use a value, any I mean indexing to get the retrieve the value of the element of an array. Or we can also use loops, while loop, do while loop, as well as for loop. Now there is another kind of a control or looping structure known as for each in PHP. For each, that for each we will see after, looking at the arrays, because that for each is a very convenient way, or with the arrays we will use that for each loop structure. Now so this is, we have just created here a single array with a single element, and we are just trying to display that. Now we can I can also use another way. I can have one more value. Let's give it as 10, and let us try to print. Oh, 1 with the index 1. Now you're creating the arrays. You are trying to obviously I have not used br tag. We are storing it. So this is one way of creating arrays. Now let me this a is 0, this is 1. Let me make this as 3, and let me save this. Now when you see, there is an error, undefined offset of 1. That means it has we have not initialized for second value, we have not initialized for third value, we are giving initializing for fourth value, and then we are trying to access it. So it's not possible. This is way not we cannot not be able to create an array. So always remember, this is not the correct way of creating arrays. That is using the indexes, assigning values. We can use defining an arrays. We can use a array $A, and then we can use the function array itself. Array is a function array. Now if I pass only one element, it will create an array with one element. Suppose if I pass 12, 10, 15, 16. This is now going to, let us execute this first. This is now going to create an array of 4 elements. And we will be able to use 0, 1. And indexing PHP also starts from 0. So we will be able to use 0 for this value, 1 for one index, 2, and third index for this value. So we can use array function to create arrays. So this will create an array with 4 elements. Suppose if I just give without anything, I just provide empty. This will create an empty string. It will create an empty string itself. So this is going to create an empty string. But suppose when we have this, it's creating a string with so it's creating an array with 4 elements, and each element index is starting. The first element index is starting from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 3. But suppose if I want to give some keys, like here 0, 1, 2, 3 indexes are nothing but keys. That is what we are trying to use as the indexes and retrieve the value of the elements. But suppose if I have to do this way, suppose if I want to have a different keys for each array element of the array. So suppose I don't want to start from 0, I want to start from 1 keys. So what I can do is I can use a construct which is provided in PHP. I can have a key. Uh, it's like in Python what we had key colon and value. The same way here key equal to an arrow. Equal to an arrow. So here I am trying to define in an array, like that is what we talked about, that we will have the arrays in PHP are not like normal arrays. It and other programming languages, they are associative arrays. Associated means there is some kind of a key which is associated with an array. Earlier we had just had 12, 10, 15, and 16 as the element, but internally what happens is 0, 1, 2, 3, which are 0, 1, 2, 3, that those are the indexes, but those are nothing but keys. So those keys are associated with these values. So now we are trying to associate a different key. So one is getting associated with 12. I can say 2 colon, not colon, 2 uh, equal to an greater than symbol. The same way we can see, uh, let's say 3 is associated with 15, and let us say 4 is associated with 16. Now here, if I use a of 2 and a of 3, that means 10 and 15 will be retrieved. Let me save this and run this program. You can find that 10 and 15 are 10 and 15 is retrieved. Though it's getting printed on same line because we don't have a printf state break line over there. That's why. So that is why we are saying that arrays here in PHP are a kind of an associative array. Some key is associated with the value, and they form the elements of the array. Now suppose instead of 1, 2, and here instead of 3, I can give 5. And let us execute this program. I'll use 5 over here. Let us execute this. You can find I will have the same result. So this index what I'm using here is actually not the position of the element. So a of 5 doesn't mean that it's the fifth element in the list. It's not a position. The index here, which we are using in to access the element of the array, is actually a key. So 5 was the key whose value associated is 15. That is why we got 15 as the result. And obviously, if we use 3 over here, which is not present, I mean in that, so we will not get the correct output. So 3 when we are using here, but there is no key associated with as 3, which has a value. So that is why the indexes over here are not positions, as in other programming languages, where index is nothing but they are the positions. But here in arrays in PHP, indexes are not positions. They are keys associated with some value which forms an element in the array as part of the array. So this is how you have the what do you call how we define arrays. So basically, if we compare Java, something we can call it as associative arrays. If we compare Python, arrays are nothing but like dictionaries in Python. We had key value pairs in Python, dictionaries of Python. The same way, here arrays are similar to dictionaries of Python. Now here, it's not that the keys can only be numerical values. Keys can also be keys can also be strings. So I can say the same example I can use ECE in quotes. Let me use double quotes here because it's easy to understand. And let us give 735 as the code. I can use CSE and give 733 as the value for our understanding. So again, what do we call IT? Let us give some value here. Let us say, I mean, let me open in quotes. Sorry, here also I forgot. That is what the mistake I'm making. So single opening the quotes, closing the quotes, and IT 737. Let us give the value. Now, can I use A of 2? I don't think so, because now 2 is, there's no key 2, but we have a key as BCE, and we have the key as, let's say, IT. Now, suppose if we save this program and run, we will be able to get the values there. So this is the value for CSE, this is the value for IT. So just remember that when we are accessing the elements of an array, it has to be accessed using the key, not the position there. And always remember, even the elements of array starts with a dollar sign. The variable is dollar. Now let us talk about this for each loop structure. I was telling you there is something known as for each. Now we had seen for statement, like for in I equal to 0, then we said $I less than $n, and then we said $I plus plus, and let us have print. Can I now use $A of $I? Can I use this? No, I cannot. I will not be able to use it, because this array, what I have done is created using a difference. I mean, different indexing here, different keys here. I'm not starting with default key as 0, index as 0. So I will not be able to use this. But suppose if I had, let's say, $B, and then let us use array, and let me have the element as 10, 20, 30, and 40. And over here, what I will do is I will use $B. And I know there are 4 elements in B, so I'll have just I less than equal to 4 over here, I plus plus. And just let me execute this program. You can find that all 10, 20, just let me, it's getting, let me use a concatenation operator dot, and then let us use br tag, close this. That's very annoying not having the results on a different line. So now you can find, I'm able to use this because I'm able to print each line by, elements line by line, because here I have not provided any key associated. So by default, the indexing or the key starts from 0. So that is why I'm able to use this as the for loop. But say same way, I will not be able to use A over here. Even if I know that there are 3 elements here. If I provide 3, and then let me just save it and run this, you can find that I'll not get the result. I'll not be able to use this for loop. And it is not every time convenient to retrieve each key and then provide the value there. Each key and provide the value there. So what we can do is we will be able to access the there is a for each loop through which we will be able to access the elements of the array. So here let us keep B as it is. This will be a part of B. Now we will use a for each. For each is a, what do you call, loop here. For each. And for each loop, what I will try to do it is, I will try to first access the array B array. So I'll say dollar, let me say val or value as Let me give the what do you call? Sorry, B $B as let me say value, and then let me have this print statement. Print $var semicolon. Now here also I forgot to have semicolon. Let me have. Let me execute this program. Here you can find. Okay, here also I have not provided this string, so I'll just provide concatenation string dot. Now let me execute this. You can find that this is generated with the first for loop. This is generated using for each loop. So what is happening is here we are using B. And tell me this is the array for each array as val. Now this val is nothing but as the for loop iterates, as the for loop iterates over over elements each time. The first time this value will be the first element. Second time in the B array, it will be the second value in the iteration. So that is how the val will be containing. At each time, it will contain value of a different element. Now let us look at how we can have the values for the this one, the arrays which have associated key values for this array A. Now I cannot just directly use $A and then print val and so and so. Let us execute this part. If I execute, what I'm getting, I'm directly getting the values here without any keys. Remember that I'm not getting any keys. I'm just directly getting the values here. So now what if I want to what do you call remove or trying to access the key also? So what actually happened here is for each, when B was there, each element is retrieved. When A is there, A array A, here also each element is retrieved and the value is provided in val as the keyword. But which value? Not this one. This is actually a key which is associated with 735. It is 735 which is the value actually. 733 is the value. 737 is the value. Rest of the other thing, that is IT in string, CSC as a string, and EC as a string, these are the keys which are associated with these values. So when I directly use val as val, A as val, I'm just directly trying to retrieve the values. Now it is not that because val I'm using, val stands for value. It's not the way. I can just instead of val, I can use a small a also. Small a also. The thing is, every time the for each iterates, it will retrieve the elements. It will retrieve the elements over here. But suppose if I also have to retrieve the keys also, like ECE, CSC, these keys also. Suppose if I have to retrieve the keys also. Then what we can do is A as capital A as, we can say, let us say dollar, not A, we will say $K for key, just a value, and then we can use the same equal to angle bracket. That is what we use the same symbol over here. We used it bracket, and let's say $V, which will nothing be but the value. And now what I will do is we will have $A and then not A, $K we will have, and then in the same for loop we will have another print statement. So on one line I will print I'll just have the parent open the brackets here. So on one line I am printing the key value, and on the second line I'm printing the, what do you call, uh, the value itself associated with that key. So for first element, a key will be displayed, and then second line, a value will be displayed. Again, key will be displayed, a value will be displayed. So let us save this code and let us try to write this program. So can you find here? Now we have, suppose if we don't use this, if you don't use this operator and for each loop, we'll directly be getting the values. But if we have, when we use this, what is happening is key of the element is getting stored in k, variable k, and value of that element is getting stored in v. And this is happening each time. So that is why the value k is first declared as ECE, then it's code, CSE, then it's code. So this is one iteration. This is another iteration, and this is the third iteration. So this is how for each loop works. So for each we can use it directly, that is the array name as a variable, or we can use array name as variable with the associative what do you call operator. So this is how what do you call the arrays work, and it is little different than the arrays what we have in other programming languages. Now the next thing we have is we can also write functions in PHP. That is, we can create our own functions rather than using functions. And function will start with a name function itself. So for example, let us write a simple function over here. Let us write a simple function. We will just call it as my. It starts with the keyword function. We will call it as my add, let us say. And since this it's a dynamically typed language, we will not use int I or int a comma b, a comma int b. So we can just say $x comma $y. Just trying to add two numbers, and then functions in obviously has to be within a parenthesis here in PHP. And here what we will do, we will create dollars some variable z and just try to add $x plus $y. Always remember dollar has to be there for variables. And then this function can return a value using the return as the keyword. So we can return $z, value of $z. Now this is the function which we have written. Now there is sometimes there is no need for functions to return any value. So you can this is optional. So when we can call these functions anywhere from the PHP program. For example, we have written the function here. Let me do one thing. Let me have have another let's say h2 tag. Let me have some let's say calling function, and close the h2 tag over here. Then again, let me have this PHP statement, a PHP code here, and then let me call this function my add, passing the values as, let me pass 10 comma 20. 10 comma 20. Let us pass these values. Let me save this program and just execute it. So I have not closed in the function. Okay, sorry. Here return z semicolon, I forgot. So let me save this one, and okay. Here this has computed 10 and 20. So actually what is happening is, this is the first which is getting printed from HTML part over here. Then we have the PHP code after this, and then we have this calling function as the second printable statement that is getting printed, and then we are having a PHP statement here. In PHP statement we are calling my add function, which we have already written, passing the value as 10 and 20. This function returns the result, that added result. This return result we are not outputting anywhere, so this was not showing any result. So what we will do is we will store this dollar. Let us use z equal to look, not z. Let us use w equal to. Then we can have print dollar w semicolon. Let us print this. You can find that we had written a statement at one place, and then we are calling that sorry, we have written a function at one place and now we are calling that function from another HTML tag, sorry, from another PHP code. So we have written the function here, but we are calling this function from this way. Always remember, functions can be written anywhere, but do remember that before calling the function, it is much better to write the function itself. So have the function before you call the function. Now, the next thing here is let us, when we are talking about this functions and all, here we are also, have to talk about local lifetime of a variable or local and global variables. Now, if you look at it, this x and y are two parameters which are passed, and there is a z as a variable. So this z is a local variable over here within the function. Now, this w is declared as a global variable. It can be used. It's not within a function, so it can be used anywhere within the program. Now, this z, I cannot use it here. I cannot say print z because it's a local variable here. It's not defined, declared over here. So just suppose if I use z over here, what happens is I'll be getting, it's undefined variable, I'll be getting the result. So though I have defined here, assigned the value here, but since it is local to this function, that is the lifetime of this variable is limited to this function. I cannot use it here outside the function. Now suppose instead of giving z, w here, if I use z over here and print z, let us look at what happens. I will be getting the result 30. Why? Because here this is z variable which is local within this function. This z is the variable which is okay global, but these two are different. These two are different. So the lifetime of this z variable ends over here. Obviously, the lifetime of this z variable, since the global variable, it will end at the end of the PHP session. So these are the ways of global. How we can define function and how we can use functions in PHP. Now, always remember, function starts with function as the keyword. Whether it returns any value or not doesn't matter. It has to start with the function as the keyword. Then name of the function. You will not be providing any types for the what do you call? You will not be providing any types for the arguments here because PHP is a dynamically typed language. And then you can call the functions the normal way you call it in Java script or Java programming language. Now, apart from this, apart from functions, the next thing what we have is regular expressions, or what we call it as pattern matching. Now, do you still remember pattern matching of JavaScript, where we had some special characters we had seen, and we had seen the what you call meta characters there to validate phone numbers, to validate email addresses, to validate zip codes or pin codes. So there was something known as regular expressions in JavaScript. Same type of actually, okay. Let us say that PHP also has regular expressions. But the thing is that Regular expression is a common. It's universal. It's not different for PHP. It is not different for Java. It is not different for JavaScript. Regular expressions are common, or pattern matching is common to all the programs, on all the not programs, all the languages. So whatever we had heard or we have seen in the class with respect to JavaScript, that is the pattern matching with respect to JavaScript, everything will work here. Same using that if condition, as well as what do you call the slash operator, plus everything will work the same way. It will work the same way in PHP. So we don't have to again repeat the same issue there. Uh, we just have to use those expressions. Uh, Suppose let me refresh some part of it. Now you were having let us say let's call it as dollar. Uh, let's see RD for regular expression. And now within what do you call you might have remembered that within double slash uh, we were using something known as W W plus W plus at at what do you call at the rate, then again W plus dot uh, com. So com W plus let's say 3 values there. So something like this for evaluating the sorry for evaluating the email addresses, or so for evaluating the you had uh, what do we call we had seen D3 hyphen D3 hyphen D4 for evaluating the what do you call phone numbers, 10-digit phone numbers. So the same regular expression, the same statements for matching, the same statements or same character, that the same meta characters are used in PHP. That is as part of the regular expressions. So we don't have to go about anything, or you don't have to learn anything new here. You can just, use the regular expression, what you have learned in the JavaScript. The same regular expressions will work. So now what we will do is we are left with the form hand. So this was all about the PHP programming language. We have seen data types, we have seen assignment, creating variables. We have talked about what do you call loops, selection statements, as well as we have talked about the for each loop, and then at the special objects that as arrays in PHP, or what we call it as associative array, as well as we have not seen about regular expression, but we have talked about regular expression, that is the same as what is present in JavaScript. Absolutely everything what is there in JavaScript works here. So you don't have to learn twice, or we don't have to look at regular expression twice. The same thing what is there in JavaScript, the same regular expression works in this PHP program. Now we are left out with the last topics, that is form handling in PHP. What this means is the same, like we will be having an HTML form, and then we will write a PHP code to retrieve the contents of what user has selected or user has typed inside that form. So like a servlet, like JSP, like Python, We have written how to handle form values. The same way, even in PHP, we will look at how to handle forms or web forms in PHP. Then the next topic is files topic. That is, we can open and close, or we can read and write files in PHP as well. Though it's a web program, but we can read and write files. And then we will look at cookies and sessions in Python. Oh, sorry, cookies and sessions in PHP. Now, these are very sessions are very easy to handle in PHP, as well as cookies there. So these four topics, we will cover it up in tomorrow's class. So I think we will end this class today. If you have any questions, let us clarify them. Do we have any questions? Or can we end this session? Are there any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then let us wind up this session, this class. And I think by tomorrow, we will be able to complete this PHP. So thank you very much if you don't have any questions. Thank you very much. Thank you. By evening, I will upload the recording because it takes time. So by evening, I'll upload the recording.